Okay, we are still waiting for Prof. Maman and other students to join. Hopefully, in the less than 5 minutes, we can proceed our webinar.
Sure, no problem.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Meanwhile, I want to check. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Untuk rekan-rekan mahasiswa, kita masih menunggu Prof. Maman untuk join bersama kita ya.
Ya, baik.
Prof. Maman said that he will be joining us soon, maybe in less than 2 minutes, he said. So, would you mind waiting a bit longer? Dr. Pathmanesan, you are still sharing your screen. You are still muted. Okay. I think that works perfectly. You are still muted, Doctor. Okay.
Yeah, my screen is visible, right?
Yeah, yep. Great.
Okay, thank you.
How was your trip to Bogor?
That was good.
Mm.
And you are the one who, Elysia, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Hopefully we can meet in person.
Yes,
Tomorrow maybe. When will you leave?
I'm leaving on 11th.
Oh, 11. So yeah, we still have a chance to meet. Maybe I can. Maybe I can meet you on Monday, probably.
Yeah,
If you're
Monday,
still at UT. Yeah.
I'm coming to go into the social science faculty.
Oh, Faculty of Science. Oh, that's my faculty as well. Yeah.
Yeah, where I can meet you.
Will. Okay. That's great. Have Prof. Maman join us, Mas Wandi? Dr. Pathmanesan, you could stop sharing your screen. I think we will be starting our webinar soon. Let me check. Prof. Maman. Oh, unfortunately, he hasn't joined us. Maybe. Oh, okay. Prof. Maman, have you joined us? Okay, he is here. Assalamualaikum, Prof. Maman.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Izin memulai
Maaf
ya, Prof.
terlambat ini.
Oke, izin memulai. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Oke, silakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, Profesor Dr. Maman Rumanta, M.Si, Direktur of Postgraduate School Universitas Terbuka, our honorable speaker, Dr. Sanmugeswara Pathmanesan, at M.A. Ph.D. from Department of Social Studies, the Open University of Sri Lanka, and of course, lecturers, students, and all participants of today's webinar. It is a pleasure to welcome you all. My name is Vita Elysia, and I will serve as your moderator for this session. Thank you very much for joining this scientific webinar with the theme, The Ontological Turn in Environmental Ethics, Rethinking Being, Nature, and Moral Relationality. It's interesting. Okay. Allow me to briefly present today's agenda. First, opening remarks by the Director of Postgraduate School Universitas Terbuka. Then a presentation by our invited speaker, followed by a question and answer session, and lastly, a closing session. Without further delay, let us begin our program. We are honored to invite Professor Dr. Maman Rumanta, M.Si, Director of Postgraduate School Universitas Terbuka, to deliver his opening remarks and officially open today's webinar. Prof. Maman, the floor is yours. Prof. Maman, can you hear me clearly?
Oh, ya,
Oke,
thank you.
silakan.
Mohon maaf, saya nggak bisa buka, ada masalah kamera ya. Tapi, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Selamat sore, Bapak sekalian. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, Rahayu. Our esteemed speaker, Dr. S. Pathmanesan, Ph.D. from Department of Social Studies, the Open University of Sri Lanka. Thank you, Profesor. Yang saya hormati Ketua Program Studi MSL, Dr. Hadian Pratama, Moderator Vita, Dr. Vita, ya Prof. Vita Elysia ST, M.Sc, Ph.D, Dosen Studi Lingkungan, para peserta webinar, khususnya para mahasiswa Magister Studi Lingkungan, MSL, yang sangat berbahagia dan tersebar barangkali dari Sabang sampai Merauke. Terima kasih atas kehadirannya. Pertama-tama, marilah kita panjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Hari ini kita bisa bertatap muka, walaupun jauh, gitu ya. Dan mohon maaf sekali lagi, saya tidak bisa membuka ini karena ada kendala jaringan barangkali ya. Webinar kali ini akan membawakan topik The Ontological Turn in Environmental Ethics, Rethinking Being, Nature, and Moral Relationality. Para mahasiswa yang saya hormati, kegiatan ini merupakan bukti bahwa SPS selalu ingin dan bertekad untuk meningkatkan kualitas layanan akademik seiring dengan bahwa kita selalu menyadari seiring dengan diraihnya PTNBH oleh Universitas Terbuka, maka beban kita adalah bagaimana meningkatkan kualitas dari layanan akademik yang selalu akan dituntut lebih unggul, gitu ya. Bahkan ketika kita sudah menjadi PTNBH, maka tuntutannya adalah menjadi world class university. Dan kita tentu saja akan mendukung capaian tersebut untuk Universitas Terbuka. Kegiatan webinar, kuliah umum, dan visiting lecture misalnya, dan juga tutorial internasional sudah kita lakukan berkali-kali barangkali, dan ke depan kita tentu saja akan lebih semarak lagi barangkali, karena sekali lagi kita ingin memberikan layanan terbaik kepada para mahasiswa. Kualitas tentu saja harus digaungkan terus-menerus dan terus diupayakan supaya nama UT yang punya gelar PTNBH itu sudah yakin bahwa itu adalah PTNBH yang kita inginkan gitu ya. Nah, perlu teman-teman ketahui bahwa kami selalu berbenah diri, dan alhamdulillah Bapak sekalian, sekarang sudah prodi-prodi sudah banyak yang unggul dan A gitu ya. Dari 9 yang sudah lama berdiri itu ada 6 yang sudah prodi unggul dan A, dan MSL merupakan bagian yang sedang kita upayakan supaya juga yang sekarang sudah status baik sekali nanti menjadi unggul dan A juga insya Allah. Dan tahun 2026 tentu saja Bapak sekalian tahun yang kita inginkan supaya tidak hanya unggul di tingkat nasional, bukan hanya akreditasi nasional, tetapi kita juga berupaya nanti untuk akreditasi internasional. Oleh karena itu, kegiatan-kegiatan seperti ini, seperti webinar internasional, kemudian nanti visiting lecturer, dan lain-lain itu akan sekali lagi akan lebih semarak di tahun-tahun yang akan datang. Teman-teman, tema kali ini saya kira sangat baik ya, mengajak kita untuk refleksi kembali tentang hubungan manusia dengan alam. Tentu saja karena environmental ethic itu yang akan kita bahas kali ini, merupakan satu tema yang sangat penting di mana teman-teman ketahui bahwa sekarang dunia sedang mengalami krisis lingkungan. Oleh karena itu, environmental ethic itu sangat relevan untuk kita bahas kali ini, dan saya tidak meragukan lagi atas namanya kepakaran dari narasumber yang akan kita hadirkan pada yang sudah hadir bahkan pada saat ini. Dan tentu saja dari sudut pandangan ontologis itu akan juga dibahas bagaimana kita memahami keberadaan hakikat dan relasi moral yang menyertainya, sekali lagi di tengah krisis lingkungan yang ada saat ini. Dan sangat penting bagi kita untuk membangun paradigma baru barangkali dalam mengelola lingkungan yang lebih berkelanjutan dan berkeadilan. Kita tahu bahwa sampai sekarang katanya sudah banyak yang dibahas terkait dengan environmental ethic dari berbagai seminar dan lain-lain, tetapi kita sadar bahwa lingkungan, environmental crisis sampai sekarang itu masih berjalan. Oleh karena itu, mudah-mudahan melalui kegiatan ini kita bisa mendapatkan pencerahan kembali gitu ya. Bagaimana mengatasi masalah lingkungan yang tidak kunjung berakhir ya sampai saat ini. To Dr. Sarma, I would like to extend our heartfelt appreciation to Dr. Sarma for his available collaboration and meaningful contribution in this program. Dr. Sarma will share his insight and expertise in this field as a distinguished scholar in social and environmental studies. His presence will undoubtedly enrich our understanding and broaden our perspective. Thank you, dan tak lupa kami sampaikan terima kasih juga kepada Dr. Hadian yang telah menyiapkan acara ini dengan baik, dan mudah-mudahan tidak hanya ini, kita akan menyiapkan kegiatan-kegiatan lainnya yang sekali lagi memperkaya pemahaman para mahasiswa kita ke depan, sehingga mahasiswa kita nantinya tidak kalah dengan mahasiswa-mahasiswa PTN BH lainnya di Indonesia. Dan semoga paparan dan diskusi yang berlangsung nantinya akan memberikan inspirasi dan mendorong lahirnya pemikiran-pemikiran baru dan di tengah sekali lagi krisis environmental sekarang ini, dan para mahasiswa tentu saja harus lebih kritis terhadap masalah lingkungan. Terima kasih juga Dr. Vita dan Karta. Saya ucapkan selamat mengikuti webinar. Semoga kegiatan ini membawa manfaat dan menjadi bagian dari upaya kita bersama dalam menjaga keberlangsungan bumi kita yang kita cintai saat ini. Terima kasih, thank you, and peace be upon us all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam.
warahmatullahi
Thank you, Prof.
wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Maman Rumanta, for your warm remarks.
Yeah,
And before
thank
we
you.
begin the main session, let me kindly remind all participants of a few important points. First, please stay with us until the end of the webinar to receive your e-certificate. Keep your microphone muted during the presentation to avoid background noise. You might turn on your camera if possible. And to ask questions, please use the chat feature or raise hand during the discussion session, and the attendance link will be shared at the end of the event. Now it's my pleasure to briefly introduce our distinguished speaker. Our speaker today is Dr. Samungeswara Pathmanesan, a cultural anthropologist and lecturer in the Department of Social Studies at the Open University of Sri Lanka. Dr. Pathmanesan holds a Ph.D. and Master of Art in Anthropology from the University of Kentucky, where he also completed a graduate certificate in social theory. Dr. Pathmanesan also earned an international certificate in applied anthropology from University of Rome, an Master of Art in Anthropology from University of Madras, India, and a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology from University of Jaffna. Dr. Pathmanesan, we are delighted to have you with us today. And without further ado, the floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you, Elysia, Dr. Elysia, and wonderful introduction. Good afternoon. Selamat pagi. So today I'm going to talk about the ontological turn in environmental ethics, rethinking being, nature, and moral relationality. I'm not an environmentalist, or I'm not an environmental expert, but as a cultural anthropologist, I worked with two professors in the US. We taught a course, Culture, Environment, and Global Issues. Also at the Open University of Sri Lanka recently, I have started a particular session of developing, that is environmental ethics. So that involvement of developing environmental ethics for the undergraduate students course module on environment and society. So I thought of sharing my experience. I think most all of you you might have learned or studied about environmental ethics, right? But I'm not going to talk about that, what is existing environmental ethics, but ontological turn. That is, ontological is a kind of the branch of theory in philosophy that is influence many other social science disciplines like anthropology have borrowed many ideas, concepts from ontology to discuss about the present world and how human being look, how human being they are being in the world, experience the surrounded by them, particularly environment, nature, and how we are going to make a relationality to understand the nature and environment. So abstract of the presentation, the ontological turn in environmental ethics demonstrates, right? There is a kind of a move, a combination of a scholarship drawn from philosophy, environmental studies, ecological studies. So all these scholarships, the different branches of scholarship, right? Philosophers, they have their own stance of understanding. Environmentalist and ecologist. So all these philosophers that have a question of human nature relations, the moral high ground we talk about. So rather than we extending a moral concern, existing discussion on humans to non-human.
I'm sorry for interrupting, Dr. Pathmanesan. Would you mind sharing your screen, or maybe you need some time before sharing the screen? Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
It was sharing. Wait a moment.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem. Oh, I'm sorry. I have not shared. Can you see now?
Yes, that's great.
Yeah, this is the front page with this I was discussing. Now I have moved to the second slide. It's about abstract of the presentation, right? So in this larger debate, rather than extending a moral concern from human to non-humans discussion, like, and how the traditional moral extensionism, right? This is the real turn, a challenging or questioning about how being, nature, and agency, that means the human, conceptualized. So therefore, this this presentation today, I am bringing about ontological turn, how it is going to help us to understand the present day context, not only the human and non-human relationship, and also how we will be able to understand ethically the being and nature and agency are conceptualized. However, then again, I'm bringing the ontology is not a kind of a new moral or some kind of ethical consideration to the existing environmental ethics, right? But how do we understand this, the whole process of reconfiguring the notion of morals, the ethics we talk about, right? Within the framework of the local perception of meaning, agency, and value. So in this ground, there are a bunch of philosophers, anthropologists have started working on this. The thinkers such as Bruno Latour, Tim Inglot, Janet Bennett, and Don Harvey, I specifically selected the four thinkers' work, have repositioned environmental ethics, because already environmental ethics the society they have. There were a lot of discussion going on. Environmental studies, environmentalists, they knew about environmental ethics, but anthropologists and philosophers, they jointly have started repositioning environmental ethics within a broader ontological field, right? Particularly emphasizing relationality, interdependence, and distributed agency of life. Therefore, my presentation today, how this ontological turn enable us to understand the transformative moment in the intellectual history of environmental studies, particularly environmental ethics. So here, rather than the questioning about who or what deserve moral considerations, the ontological turn asks what kind of world produce such distinctions in the first place, right? How and who decide, right? Who decide this all? And how do we decide all of these ethical considerations? So that ontological turn invite all of us to rethink about ethics, not as an extension of human rationality. Because we discuss about environmental ethics, whatever in general, the human rationality. Why do we consider the human rationality only for ethical considerations? What about non-humans? The role in understanding of ethics. Therefore, rather than thinking of extension of human rationality, but as an expression of the entangled, relational, how we relate each other, right? There is a very difficult, that is my argument in this paper, very difficult to divide human and non-human because they are united. In every society, community, we will be able to see. But later we will decide, I will try to find out, I will point out how the Western philosophy, Western environmental studies have divided into two different sections, like a human, non-human. But here, anthropologists, philosophers, and ontological theory people who believe, so they brought the argument, expression of the entangled, relational, emergent nature of being itself. Therefore, the movement or shifting from the moral existentialism to ontological relationality marks the environment from ethic as a judgment to ethics as coexistence. However, what I'm trying to say, the ontological turn is not a unified theory, right? But it can be a constellation of overlapping critiques emerging across disciplines, anthropology, philosophy. So these scholars converge on a shared intuition that modernity's concept of nature as an interred background to human action is both ontologically false and ethically disastrous. So we need to think about how humans or non-humans, the being as relational and emergent, and that convergence, let's see how open a new space for a new forms of ecological care grounded in reciprocity and mutual becoming. Right. So in this paper, there are three major sections or three major folds. One, to trace the limitations of traditional environmental ethics and show how its conceptual architecture reinforces human exceptionalism Second, to explore the ontological reconfiguration of being and nature advanced by key thinkers of the ontological turn. Number three, to articulate the ethical implications of this reconfiguration for life in Anthropocene, where human and non-human agencies are inseparably intertwined. So this is the key point, or this is the key place we all have to take deeply understand, right? No separation between human, non-human entities. That is where ontology, anthropology united together to travel together.
You could also click a slideshow if you prefer to do so, Doctor.
All right, okay, wait.
Thank you. Sorry for another interruption.
Because normally I don't use this Microsoft. Now I'm okay. Wait. Can you see now?
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. So now we will see the from moral existentialism to ontological relationality. So there's the limits of modern environmental ethics that, as I said earlier. So traditional environmental ethics arouse within the philosophical context of modern Western thought, right? Particularly, have you heard about the nature divide, or culture nature divide, mind and body, the Cartesian or Cartesian philosophical grounding understanding of. So where the nature was conceived as an object, extend to the knowing subject, right? Cartesian separation between nature, mind and body, or culture and nature. So early environmental ethics sought to correct this dualism. So they have put them in two different baskets, right? Including non-humans, animals, plants, ecosystem within the moral circle. So while using this inclusionist strategy represented moral progress, so it left the underlying ontology intact. The world remained divided into human moral agents and non-human moral patients. Right? So this is the divide that is people have not paid considerable attention at that time. So ethical extension model answers the question, who else counts, but not what kind of being is doing and counting, or what kind of world allows such counting to occur. So this is Latour's questioning about being in the world, how humans experience. The ontological turn begins precisely here by problematizing the very categories of human and nature that make moral existentialism possible. Therefore, it argues that ethics cannot merely redistribute value within the already constructed ontology. Therefore, we have to rethink about ontology itself. Not one ontology, multiple ontologies. That is the other argument also bringing to this discussion. So what is the ontological turn that we are talking about? The phrase ontological turn denotes to a broad intellectual understanding or reorientation in the humanities and social sciences that since late 20th century, marked by a renewed attention to being. Ontology means, it's not a jargon word, ontology means being in the world, right? How human being experience of their existence in the world. It's very simple and possible, and people experience daily life. rather than merely knowing epistemology. That is mean that what you know and what you write. It is we just see the world, how humans are being. In anthropology, such as the Filippo de Scola is a famous anthropology who work on environment and society and culture, and Eduardo Viveros de Castro and Tim Iglot have challenged the universality of Western ontological assumptions. So Western European philosophy, they have already philosophy and other social, other scientists, they have developed argument with regard to or definition of ontology. But particularly anthropologists who studied in Latin America, because I'm talking about all these anthropologists, they work on most of them Latin American societies, particularly environmental studies. That's why the scholar argues that there's he identify multiple ontologies modes, right? Animism, totemism, analogism, and naturalism. There are many things. So each defining distinct relations between human and non-human. So Viveros de Castro, he brought Amerindian perspectivism, dissolved the fixed boundaries between species by proposing that all beings share a subjective interiority. The third person, Ingold, he said reject the nature culture dichotomy altogether. Because that is a Western philosophical conceptualization, nature culture divide, emphasizing the relational processing of developing within a network of life. So that means why they deny, why they reject the nature culture dichotomy, because humans are in the culture within the society. We cannot separate human from the nature. So there is a relationship. You have to relate each other. That's why relational understanding or processing within the network of both how they are intervened. So these things challenge the ontological assumptions of environmental ethics. That's the other argument, right? That is the other major part of my paper. So Western philosopher, they conceptualize ontological assumption of environmental ethics, but anthropologists like Ingold, Casoda, and all of them reject or criticize. So they, rather than beginning from the question of moral worth, they begin from ontological fact of relational existence, right? So the relational existence means what I'm trying to say, how yes, excuse me.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly and you can continue your presentation.
Right, okay. There was a some sound, that's why
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Existence. So ethics, therefore, ethics in general becomes not a code of conduct. So that is the other understanding. In general, ethics means we are trying to say it's a kind of a code of ethics. So it's a conduct. It's a very rigid rule. So something like that, written records becomes, it's not a code, right? But it's a practice of harmony, how they relate each other, a way of living within a dynamic and entangled process, right? Entangled process that sustain the human life. So from ethics of value to ethics of relation, right? So if traditional ethics is grounded in the distribution of value, then ontological ethics is grounded in the relationality of being. So all of you kindly remember the relationality the relational morality I mentioned in my paper at the beginning. That's the other key aspect of the building a conversation on ontological turn in environmental ethics. The soil, the river, atmosphere, the machine, all participate in the ongoing formation of the world. They are all participated. They are all interacting with the human being. There is no any separate divide. In order to act ethically, then it's not to represent these others, but to respond to them. How we are responding. So this shift is not merely theoretical, but it has a profound practical implications for how we understand ecological action. Right? So there are few studies identified by consider Latour's call for a political theology of Gaia. Yeah, Gaia is not a goddess or a system, but a collective assemblage of forces that make the earth livable. So ethics must involve the composition of common worlds and ongoing negotiation among human, non-human actors. That is a very beautiful term, negotiation. So the negotiation that human are making with non-human actors. Similarly, the David Carvey's work on notion of responses ability foregrounds a capacity to respond and be affected as the basis of moral life. Therefore, ethics becomes a matter of staying with the trouble, dwelling within the complexity and uncertainty of interdependence. So now we have to rethinking about the nature. Why? Because we have broad ontological relationality understanding, right? And the more than the human. So now we have to move then nature culture divide, ontological turn destabilizes the one of the most enduring binaries of Western thought, that is nature culture divide. That's a binary. From Descartes to Kant. Kant is a philosopher, Immanuel Kant, and Descartes also famous. He is the one who developed the culture nature divide, the mind and body divide. So nature has been regarded as the realm of necessity, determinism, and objecthood, while culture has been viewed as the sphere of freedom, subjectivity, and meaning. Therefore, this metaphysical split has deeply structured environmental ethics by positioning the moral subject outside or above the natural world it seeks to protect. So in this context, we are able to see how anthropology, or the field of anthropology, and ecological philosophy, right? They together converge in challenging this divide. So Felipe de Sekolah argues that what moderns call nature is not a universal given, but a specific ontological regime, naturalism, that assumes humans are distinct because they possess interiority, right? That is mind culture. While non-human lack it. This is the humans, they have taken the moral high ground of understanding, placing humans as a superior nature of humans, as a superior nature. They know more these morals, ethics, but they think non-humans, they don't have any morals. So other societies such as animist or totemic cultures, this is the other interesting part. Anthropologists, the tribal communities, indigenous communities, they brought their belief system to understand the nature, culture, environmental diversity. So they brought the indigenous belief system, looking at the animistic totemic cultures, organizing the human, non-human relational differently, right? The Western society, they put them two different baskets. Humans in one basket, non-human in another baskets, but they put a barrier without relation. But just take a look at anthropologies they have brought to rethink about this ontological paradigm in understanding environment, right? How non-human, human, their relations and interact differently. Because looking at their belief system, for example, animistic tradition, totemic practices in different world. Even for example, take Indonesian community, right? There are thousands of islands, biodiversity. This is the first time my experience looking at the biodiversity, cultural diversity, ethnic groups, but people have their own understanding of nature. And people have thousands of belief systems about their environment. So where are those ethics? Those are the localized practices of ethics we need to be understand what is the relationship between the society and community and culture and their local practices towards the nature. So the ontological turn, this is the way, is an act of provincializing modernity, acknowledging that Western metaphysics is only one of many possible ontological worlds. But they are challenging the Western philosophical understanding of metaphysics and thinking of how remaining multiple ontologies from various diverse cultures. So ontological ethics in anthropological and ecological thought, right, is a and is missing, sorry, ontological ethics in anthropological and ecological thought. So anthropology has been one of the key disciplines in advancing the ontological turn. It is there, ontology already discussed by philosophers, but anthropology, they are flavoring, they are giving, tuning a bit of differently, right? Rather than a Western understanding of ontological perspective, but anthropology, they have brought many different experience derived from various communities. So precisely because it's fieldwork encounters, that's what I'm trying to say. You can ask me, so how do we anthropology they know? Of course, that is the fieldwork encourage continuously, right? Because the limits of Western metaphysics challenge by the anthropologists because they can assume some of the items and they generalize to the entire human world. But anthropologists challenge through the ethnographic engagement. Ethnography means that directly go to the field, working with people to study about their own culture from their own point of view, from the people understanding of the world experience. That is the way ethnography written by anthropologists. So ethnographic engagement with indigenous cosmologies, I said earlier. For example, take example even in Indonesia. A certain community have a different belief. Other communities, different ethnic groups, they have a different beliefs towards nature. Are we going to say both are one is more higher than the others? No. We need to see the relational, how do they relate to the environment? That is the key point, right? So here, indigenous cosmologies means how each ethnic groups their own cosmological understanding about nature and ethics. So they have revealed worlds in which animals, spirits, landscapes, plants, everything, soil and objects are not things, but persons. They have a living. They treat. They talk to them. Just go to the indigenous community in Indonesia even. Talk to the people. They will give you a wonderful stories about non-human that you think non-human, but they argue they are not non-human, they are human. Why? They have feelings. They will share their own understanding of this world. So, but persons, beings with whom humans share social and ethical relations. So the ontological turn transform ethics from a prescriptive system into a participatory practice. Participatory practice means you go to the field and talk to the people, live with them, and try to understand their world. In contrast to the deontological or consequentialist frameworks that dominate Western moral philosophy, ontological ethics does not start from rules or outcomes. It starts from recognition that beings are always already entangled. To act is to participate in ongoing formation of these entanglements. Therefore, conclusion towards an ontological environmental ethics. Now we are here to develop a kind of a ontological turn in environmental ethics. So ontological turn in environmental ethics represent a profound reorientation of ecological thought. It challenges the dualism. What is the dualism? Culture, the nature, divine. That has structured by Western modern philosophy. Nature culture divide or subject object divide or human non-human divide, and replaces them with the ontology of relations or relational morality, interdependence, or co-being or coexistence. So through the interdisciplinary contributions, that is the major importance, only by ecologists, only by environmental scientists, or only by anthropologists, or only by philosophers. It cannot be understood, it cannot be holistically, meaningfully framed out. Therefore, that is an interdisciplinary framework. Engagement is needed. That is, we have seen combining of Latour is a philosopher, Ingold and Harvey, Bennett, Stringers and others. Beautifully, we will have to transform environmental ethics from discourse of moral obligation to practice of ontological participations. Thank you very much. It's a kind of my study is a preliminary, a study based on my work, right? A preliminary work, but I'm happy to improve this work. Probably wherever is possible, I can publish it. Thank you very much for listening and for your patience.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Pathmanesan, for your insightful and thought-provoking presentation. So your presentation discusses a major shift in environmental ethics known as the ontological turn. Yeah, it's interesting. So if I'm not mistaken, this approach goes beyond extending moral concern for human to non-human, but it's also challenged the very foundation how being nature and the agency are understood. So it is also redefines the ethic domains by decentering humans as the sole source of meaning, agency, and moral value. That's what I try to conclude based on your presentation. So now we will move on to the Q&A session. Are welcome to ask questions directly by raising your hands or typing them in the chat box. Is there anyone would like to ask Dr. Pathmanesan? Maybe okay. Please, Pak Chandra Firmantoko, you could answer. You could ask your question directly to Dr. Pathmanesan. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Vita. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Doctor. Thank you for your presentation, and I'd like to ask probably two questions. On the first is about the practical of the ontological turn in the context of probably Sri Lanka, and then the first, and the second is how do you relate this to permaculture concept?
What culture?
Permaculture.
Peruma.
From Bill Mollison, because he is also promoting the he's anthropologist also from New Zealand.
Right.
Yeah, and he promote the term of permaculture to promote the ethics also, to put people as part of the ecology and not to be like the ruler of ecology. But probably you're not making study about it. Then I'll withdraw the question. Probably only in the first question, the actualization of the theory in the Sri Lanka context. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So why I'm so interested developing a environmental ethics? Definitely one section's going to be ontological discussions, because while doing my PhD for my data collections, right, in Sri Lanka, the local community, they have understanding their own belief system, right, indigenous practices about non-human and human relations. That is really questioning about the Western philosophical understanding of culture-nature divide. So this is the way I'm going to contribute the Sri Lankan situations in my module, the session writing about the Sri Lanka case. That is how we are developing. But through that, the session and teaching, that definitely we will be able to create a new environment among the student or even the present generations regarding the current ontological understanding of environmental ethics. The question number 2, actually I have never heard about, so I love to read that work, the New Zealand anthropological work, probably, so I can take a look at his work and how he is discussing with regard to your questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Do you need more clarification or another question, Pak Chandra? So I hope Dr. Pathmanesan address your question.
Yes. I think we can continue. Thank you, Dr. Vita.
Okay. I will open another.
Thank you, Chandra Farman, right? Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other question? So yeah, actually, what Pak Chandra asked is something that I would like to ask also about how can this idea of the ontological turn be applied in real life? Yeah, for example, how we manage or protect the environment. I think that's also interesting to discuss. Yeah. Is there any other questions? You can also ask in Bahasa, then I will be very happy to translate it if you. Maybe I can continue from the previous question. Is still related to the practical the application of this thinking on how in what ways can this perspective be applied to solve real environmental issues such as waste management or deforestation maybe. What do you think about that, Dr. Pathmanesan? because some of our students, practitioners working on environmental issues in Indonesia, maybe this thinking or this approach can help them to think better about environmental issues that they face on daily basis.
It is really good to make a participatory approach that is actually train the students more with even though they might not have the training of anthropology, but again participatory research methods will help students to interview people before the whatever environmental related development. Better to have an assessment or listening to talking to people, listening to them, right? So that will bring a lot of discussions, stories, belief. But within that discussion and belief, we will be able to bring the major argument what a particular community have their own understanding of a particular that environment surrounded by them. It can be a tree, it can be a particular tree, or it can be particular a place, land, right? So many things.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting how we as educators introduce this ontological idea of human nature relation to our students or local communities. That's very interesting for me as well.
So
Okay,
there's a one question in the chat box. Can I get contact of Sir Pathmanesan? Thank you for the good presentation. Okay, that we can share my email address, no problem. Sub number. What is the role of humans in maintaining the balance of the tropical rainforest ecosystem in Sri Lanka? Right, it's a good question, right? That's a big challenge because, you know, in Sri Lanka also anthropologists role in very less, but a lot of environmental expertise now started consulting with social scientists, particularly sociologists and anthropologists. So what happened, the maintaining balance of tropical rain forest ecosystem in Sri Lanka, but the government may have taken a strong policy in a sense like protecting most of the forest area that is a declared forest, right? So those forests cannot be, and a lot of the legal procedures they have developed protecting the forest area and particularly flora fauna of the particular that environment.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pathmanesan, for your comprehension. And maybe is there any more question? Maybe one or two last question? No? So thank you once again. Oh, Pak Chandra.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, can I just want to discuss with Dr. Padma about, because I visited Sri Lanka a month ago, and I was going to Kandy area, and also in Colombo, of course, and I visited Royal Kandy Lake and Royal Botany, and also in the I don't know how it's called, the forest department or something, but probably you can explain or share a little story about how the again about the practical of the actualization of the concept of the ontological concept in your presentation in probably in Kandy, and the second one is about the as I see in the Colombo, there's the new development, the port area, which is, I don't know whether there is an issue of the environment in that development. Maybe you can share a bit about it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Because anyway, this is my work. I have not conducted any field work. This is my, particularly it's purely about a theoretical conceptual framework based on
I
my
see. Okay.
based on That's why at the beginning of my presentation, I said it's a preliminary groundwork, it's a theoretical, but the people who closely work with environmental studies or environmental expertise, they will be able to see my theory, but I'm trying to bring a new light, right? Through the ontology to the environmental ethics. But I can connect you at the Open University of Sri Lanka. We have a Center for Environmental Studies and Sustainable Development. You might have heard about Open University of Sri Lanka. We have Center for Environmental Studies and Sustainable Development. Those people are closely working with a lot of many environmental projects. So they have all the connections. So you will be able to hear maybe environmental assessment of Port City, right? Environmental assessment of various other development projects in Sri Lanka. But of course, in the future, let's see how I can use those data to relate to my paper, because my paper is mostly about, it's a theoretical, a conceptual framework for people. Anyone can use my study for their, even to develop the good argument. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Pathmanesan. Pak Chandra, may I ask where you work? Are you also a student
Pardon?
at MSL?
Yes, I'm student
Are
at
you also
M.Sc.
may I ask where you work, your affiliation?
Yogyakarta.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I haven't
So
been to Sri
you went
Lanka.
to Lanka?
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah,
Did you go
hopefully.
to any work in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, some activities
Okay.
in Candice area mostly.
Right. Great.
So Pak Chandra is one of our master program students here at Environmental Studies study program. So I think that's unfortunately that will be our last question, as we are now at Maghrib prayer time. So thank you, Dr. Pathmanesan, for your answer to the and also for participants for your engaging discussion. And before we close, please don't forget to fill the attendance form, share in the chat box. Mas Wandi, could you share the attendance form in the chat box so that you can receive your e-certificate? Now we have reached a special moment of appreciation on behalf of the Master Program in Environmental Studies Universitas Terbuka. We would like to express our deepest gratitude to Dr. For sharing his valuable insight in today's webinar. And we are pleased to present this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Pathmanesan as a token of our sincere appreciation for his contribution. Apa bisa dibantu to display the certificate on screen?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you once again, Dr. Pathmanesan. We truly hope that to continue this collaboration in the future academic events. And
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. And before we close today's session, I kindly ask everyone to please turn on your cameras so we can take a photo together. Okay, so please, for everyone, could you please turn on your camera so we can take a group photo? I will count down. 1, 2, 3, and smile, everyone. Okay, the next page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, for the next page, the third page. Wait a moment. Okay, the third page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and the last one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, as we come to the end of our program, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to Professor Dr. Maman Rumanta for his opening remarks, our head of study program, Dr. Hadian, for his support for this event, and of course, Dr. Pathmanesan for his valuable presentation, and to all of our students for your active involvement. Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah, concludes our scientific webinar organized by Master Program in Environmental Studies Universitas Terbuka. We apologize for any shortcomings during today's event, and thank you once again for your participation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and see you at our next webinar. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pathmanesan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Dr. Pathmanesan,
Bye-bye.
see you on
Thank you.
Monday.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. We'll see you on
Terima
Monday.
kasih.